Hello, welcome to part 2 of Absolute Beginner's Ukulele. Like the first video, I'm going to try and keep this with minimal or no edits, so it's just a through video as if I'm in the room teaching with you. I want it to be authentic like that. After all, there are so many slick videos on YouTube, so this one's a little bit different. Okay, now in the previous video you learnt C, G7 and F, C, F and G7, and we put them together. So make sure you've looked through that video, looked at all the techniques and followed all the advice, and we're going to move on now. So I'd like you to go to the chord chart and teach yourself G, which is a mirror image of G7. Okay, so if you want to pause the video and spend a couple of minutes on that. So when you've got G, you'll see, like G7, you're stacking your first and second finger, well, you're stacking two fingers rather, into the same fret. With G7 it was your second and third finger, with G it's your first and second. Okay, you want to make sure that they're on top of each other, and to do that, get your arm out like this, with the ukulele up. Now it becomes important now to make sure that you've got the 45-degree angle on the ukulele neck. Okay, so you've got your G there. It might be tricky at first. You want to make sure your fingers are in the frets, 2/3 along if you're on a tenor ukulele, like a large ukulele, and you've got slim fingers. If you've got wider fingers and you're on a smaller ukulele, just aim for the middle. Okay. So keep your thumb behind the second fret. It's behind the second fret because your second finger is on the second fret. Your thumb needs to be behind your second finger wherever it goes. So there's your G chord. Okay. And I want you to teach yourself D7. So pause the video here. This is an easier D7. From some of the versions you might see. Second and third fingers in the second fret. Again, you're stacking fingers, so get your arm out. And as we said in the first video, when you learn a new chord, play the chord, try and memorise the shape, picture the pattern of your fingers in your mind, like G's like a triangular shape, D7's a vertical line. Okay, so when you've got the chord, take your fingers away, move them around a bit so they forget the shape they were in, and then practice going back into it cold, slowly, like this. And also, you can practice doing that without your right hand, so you can concentrate entirely on your left hand. Just put the shape down, take it away, and then bring it back. Okay, and do the same with the D7. Alright, so once you're familiar with the shapes, we can go back to our 1000, 2000 strumming technique, which forces you to strum a bit more slowly. So 1000 on G, 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, D7, 2000, 3000, 4000, G. Okay, if this is too fast for you to change in the gap, then we'll slow it down and just count more slowly. 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, change. 2000, 3000, 4000, and back. Okay? So you probably want to spend 30 minutes on that, just going through the G and the D7. The big point here, which I'd like you to remember, is with both chords, you're stacking two fingers into the same fret. And whenever you're doing that, you need your arm out. Okay? So you keep your arm out like that. So we've got this song, Handsome Molly, which is a great little tune for G and D7. It's four strums per chord. I'm just checking that. No, we're not going to go that fast. We're going to do 2 strums per chord. Okay, 2 strums. Let's keep it easy. And it'll go like this. I wish I was in London or some other seaport town. D7 there. I'd set my foot in a steamboat and I'll sail the ocean round. So we have from the top G to G to G to D7, 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 D7 and G. A bit slower. 1, 2. I wish I was in London or some other seaport town. I'd set my foot in a steamboat and I'd sail the ocean round. Okay, so practice that, and I'm going to go on now. You might be ready to just carry on with me. I'm going to do that first verse and then maybe the second and third verse. So you play the first 4 lines and then you repeat them 2 more times so that you've got the first verse there with the chords written out. So just repeat the verse 3 times as I sing the different words. I'm not sure I'd call it singing. Warble, as I warble the different words. Right. 1, 2. I wish I was in London or some other seaport town. I'd set my foot in a steamboat and I'd sail the ocean round. Next verse. While sailing round the ocean, while sailing around the sea, I'd think of handsome Molly wherever she may be. She rode to church a Sunday, she passed me on by. I saw her mind was changing by the roving of her eye. Let's do one more verse. Don't you remember, Molly, when you gave me your hand? You said if you ever marry, that I'd be the man. First verse again. I wish I was in London or some other seaport town. I'd set my foot in the steamboat and sail the ocean round. Okay, so keep replaying that segment and practicing it with me. So that's a nice little tune. As you do so, remember your thumb. I keep repeating it. I'm driving that home all the time. You've got to keep that thumb vertical behind the 2nd fret because your 2nd finger is there, following the curvature of the neck, not out like this. Okay, and you do that so you have that gap between the palm of your hand and the bottom of the ukulele neck with everything you play. Whatever chord you play later on when you're doing crazy stuff up and down the neck, you always want that gap because that gap ensures you're playing on the tips of your fingers. So it's a chain of events. Thumb, gap, fingertips. Okay? So let's go back to our chord chart. Once you're happy with G and D7, and obviously you'll need to keep practicing these chords. We're going to move on to another chord set. So we need a chord of A major if you want to teach yourself that. And you'll probably want to keep stopping the video to look at each chord. So A major is the next one. So with A, with your 2nd finger and 1st finger, 2nd finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string. You'll notice you're not stacking fingers into the same fret, so your arm is neutral. It was out for G, G7, D7, but now it's just neutral. Just relax there. Okay, with the ukulele neck still up 45 degrees. So you've got A major. I would like you to teach yourself E7. So E7, you are stacking 2 fingers into the same fret. So you want your arm out again. Okay. So when you've gone from A to E7, you can see the shift your arm is making. As always, as you learn these chords from the chord chart, as you teach them to yourself, make sure your fingers are into the fret, that they're not back. Okay, 2/3 along if you can, or if the space is tight, just in the middle. We need an A7. A7 isn't actually on the chord sheet here, but I'm going to show it to you. So you've got your A, chord of A, you just take your second finger off. That's A7. Now A7 often comes after A. So you have your A chord, then take the second finger off, and there's your A7. Okay, so I think we're going to practice that now. So we'll do 4 slow beats on A, and take your second off. Back on for A. Second finger off for A7. Just keep that going with me. Okay, now we're going to practice A to E7. So you can see that your second and first fingers are swapping strings, but the most important thing is that movement of the arm. Okay, you need to get that arm movement so you can stack your fingers into the second fret, so you can stack your second and third fingers into the second fret for the E7. So I'd like you to spend some time just doing this with your left hand alone. Okay? So I've got a feeling in part 2 here you're going to be pausing the video a lot, but just feel free to pause and practice the things I'm showing you. Okay, so that's A to E7. Should we do a little drill with that? So A, 2, 3, 4, E7. Let's use the 1000 method. 1000, 2000, 3000, 4000, changing the gap. Oh, I nearly missed it. 1000, 3000, 4000, changing the gaps. Okay, again, slow that down and count more slowly if you're not quite getting there in time. Okay, we've got D7 already. Now we need D. So have a look at the chord chart. Keep your second finger there from D7, and then you've got 3 and 4 stacked into the second fret. So second finger on the 4th string, third finger on the 3rd string, 4th finger on the 2nd string. So this is a bit tricky. 3 fingers stacked into the same fret. So get that arm out. Okay. So we're going to look at this song, Karina Karina. So it needs an A, E7, A7, D, and a D7. So pause the video, just look at the chords in the song and just make sure you've learnt them individually, and I want you to practice the practice the changes. So A to E7 using the 1000 method. Okay, A to A7 in the same way, A7 to D, D back to A to A7 again, A7 to E7, and D7 to A. So there are no more logistics I need to teach you with the transition of those chords in this song, other than what I've already said about the arm. Okay, so just practice slowly, counting 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, and you'll need to spend a day on that. So you want to pause here and come back to this video tomorrow. When I say a day, I mean half an hour, but leave it a day before you come back to this next bit. Okay, so yeah, this video is live, you can see, no edits going on. Right then, so now you've got those chords more or less there. There'll still be some hesitations, don't worry about that. We're going to go very slowly through Carina Carina. NC at the top of the page means no chords, so you don't play there. So if we do 2 strums per chord, it's going to go like this. Carina, Carina, girl, where have you been so long? A7. Carina, Carina, girl, where have you been so long? Look at how my arm is moving for each chord. Baby, missed the words there. Baby, please come home. Okay, let's look at those chords in more detail. So we have Carina, A, neutral arm, arm out, E7, arm back to the neutral position. Just take the second finger off. Now get your arm right out again. D. And your arm back. A7. Arm out again. Keep it out. And relax your arm. And stop. Okay? So pause the video and work on that over and over. Of course, most students will complain that they can't get to the chords in time, and there's one simple solution: just play slower. Even if it's 10 seconds between each strum, it doesn't matter. As long as you get the chords all even and there are no gaps and you're playing with an even amount of time between each chord and changing in the gap. If it was an extreme like 10 seconds per strum, that would be alright. You could speed it up very quickly, but once you get into the habit of changing in the gap of the beat. So I'm going to leave that with you to practice. And now to close this part 2, we're going to move on and play the song. Okay, so we'll keep to the same speed, just 2 strums per chord. Carina, Carina, girl, where have you been so long? Carina, Carina, girl, where have you been so long? I've been a-worrying about you, baby. Baby, please come home. And then stop. I've got a bird that... So we're going to carry on now. Go back to the first verse. Whistles. I've got a bird that sings. A7. I've got a bird that whistles. I've got a bird that sings. But I ain't got Carina. D7. Life don't mean a thing. And stop. Carina, Carina, girl, you're on my mind. Carina, Carina, girl, you're on my mind. I'm a-thinking about you, baby. I just can't keep from crying. Stop. Okay, When you're more confident with that, you can play twice as fast and add 4 strums per chord. So instead of 1, 2, 1, 2, you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Now I've chosen this song carefully. Keep practicing it. When you can really do it, go to the jam along section of this subscription part of the website of Ukulele the Right Way, and look for Karina Karina, and then follow the jam and jam along with it. Okay, so that will be a little bit different, and it'll be smoother. It'll be presented in a slightly higher level, more advanced way. Not advanced, but you know, something a bit more authentic than I've done it here. Right, so that brings me to the end of this part 2, and if you've followed everything, if you've taken time to practice all the chords and all the bits I've been through, and if you've followed all the advice I've given about the left hand and about the right hand with the curved fingers and the posture of the ukulele, you will now be at a level that you can go to the songs in the jam along section and learn the chords and teach the chords yourself, because I've taught you to teach yourself the chords. If I didn't do that, if I just spent time showing you what to do, and if I didn't utilise the element of what they call student autonomy, you learning yourself and being able to teach yourself each chord as they come up, then you'd be stuck. So you can now do that. So I want you to go to the jam along section and try and jam along with some of the songs, and it can be a project. You can do 1 song a week and teach yourself the chords as you go. And we've been very basic with the right hand and with technique, so you can now go to the sections on strumming and finger picking after a while, and the other techniques I've got on this in this project, Ukulele the Right Way, and you can learn them. So you're now at a stage to go forward with Ukulele the Right Way subscription pages, and you can teach yourself with my guidance. So great, I hope that you've enjoyed it. I'm just going to finish with a quick warning of the pitfalls you might fall into, which I've seen. So the big one is you might find yourself playing like this because you want to see where your fingers are, and you won't notice that you've shortened your left hand fingers, but it will feel a lot harder to play. So keep the ukulele up. You might start to think you're a guitar player and get the neck lower, although I think a high neck is good practice for guitarists as well. And that makes it more difficult to move around the neck. So you want to keep the neck up, keep the ukulele against your body. Okay? Your left hand thumb almost certainly will start misbehaving at some point during this journey. You might be playing like that. Probably you start to do that with your wrist back. Okay, so that shortens your fingers, that just clams your hand up so you can't really move. You might start doing this, I mean, you probably will, because it feels comfortable, but then you've shortened your fingers and you've made your hand a lot harder to move about. You've restricted your finger movement there. Okay. With all of those bad habits, you can see what happens to that gap here between the palm of your hand and the bottom of the neck. Okay, it's not really there, so it means you're not playing on your fingertips. And of course, the other thing you'll probably do is practice too quickly. So 1,000, 2,000, keep that going very, very slowly. And finally, you might get frustrated that you can't get to the chords on time. I mean, this is normal really for the first 6 months of learning ukulele. You know, if you're playing a song, you'll get some of them, but not all of them. You might be a bit late, you might have to drop out and come back in. My advice is to just go with it. Just enjoy playing, and it does come. But at the same time, it will help if you really know the chord shapes. So each day, go through all the chords you know at any one time without the right hand. just pulling the shapes down slowly. Okay, just really slowly, so you can train your fingers to get into them. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed this course. I know it's a bit different. I purposely wanted to make it different from all the countless videos on YouTube. So well done. If you've got any questions, then please feel free to email me, and if you'd like a one-to-one lesson, then go to the website and you can contact me through there for a one-to-one Skype lesson at any time. And I hope you enjoy the rest of the Ukulele the Right Way subscription pages and the part of the section of the website. Okay, so thank you, and happy playing.